William Hausman. Hausman, if you'll step right up here. Raise your right hand and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Just step right this way. Just watch your step.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you could state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is William Hausman, Hausman.
All right, and how are you currently employed?
I'm currently the president of Prawn Seafoods Incorporated in Miami-Dade County.
All right, now prior to working for that job, did you have a much different job back in October of 2018?
Yes, back then I worked at DNA Labs International for approximately 5 years.
Okay, and if you could tell the jury, what is DNA Labs International? What do they do?
So DNA Labs International does forensic DNA processing.
Okay, and is it a private company? What type of company is it?
It's privately owned.
And does DNA Labs International do testing of DNA at times for law enforcement agencies?
Yes, that's primarily what they do testing for.
All right, what was your job title when you were employed at DNA Labs International?
I was a forensic DNA analyst.
All right. And to become a forensic DNA analyst, what is your background as far as education and training to be able to do that job back when you used to do it?
All right, so I have a bachelor's degree of science from biology at FAU, as well as a master's of science in biology at FAU, as well as going through a training program at DNA Labs International in order to perform DNA analysis procedures.
Okay, and back in 2018, you said you had worked there for 5 years?
Correct.
When you first began your employment with them, were you immediately allowed to work by yourself, or did you have to go through some on-the-job training or any other certifications?
Yeah, so there's a whole training regimen at DNA Labs where you learn new procedures and then you perform competency exams to show that you can perform them accurately.
Okay, and is that something that you went through?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and did you pass the examinations to be able to do DNA analysis?
Yes, I passed all those exams, as well as proficiency exams that were given twice a year by an external company to show that I could perform DNA analysis.
All right. Now, did you receive any items of evidence in reference to this particular case?
I did.
Okay, and do you know what those items were? Do you recall?
Yes. I have 2 items that I see here. One of the items was the extracts of swabbing from the passenger side headrest, as well as the extracts from Tania Wise.
And what I'd like to show you is what's already been marked into or entered into evidence as states Exhibit 167. There's 2 different ones. One is labeled as extracts of swabs from front passenger headrest, and the other being extracts of blood standard from Tania Wise. Is there any markings or identification on there that looks familiar to you?
Yes, I could see DNA Labs International uses their own tape, as well as the initials of one of my coworkers at the time.
Okay. And did you end up doing a DNA analysis in reference to these particular 2 items?
Yes, I did.
What type of analysis were you doing or asked to do in this case?
So what we did is we used a software called StarMix, and what it does is it helps us to evaluate DNA profiles that are mixtures, meaning that there's more than one person contributing to that profile.
And do you look at the standards? I guess, what is the process of how you do it? Do you run the unknown standard and then compare it to a known standard, or how do you do that?
All right. So as far as star mix, what it does is it weighs two propositions against each other, developing a likelihood ratio. So you'll have weighing one proposition against another. So for example, if you have 3 contributors in a DNA profile, it'll weigh the likelihood that one specific contributor as well as 2 unknowns is more or less likely than having 3 unknown contributors.
So for then the DNA extract from the extracts and swabs from the front passenger headrest, through StarMix, were you able to determine whether or not there was a mixture of a DNA profile for that exhibit?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and what did it determine, or what did you determine in your analysis?
So the DNA profile obtained from the extract indicates a mixture of at least 3 individuals with at least 1 male contributor, and Tania Wise could not be ruled out as a possible contributor to this mixed DNA profile.
So the standard that you get from the extract of Tania Wise is compared to the mixture?
Correct.
Okay. And then you had reference to use of propositions. Were there propositions considered in reference to Tania Wise's including, or I guess being in that mixture of 3 individuals?
Yes, so 2 propositions were considered, or I should say 2 sets of propositions were considered. So the first one is the DNA profile obtained from the extract is approximately 1.1 times more probable if the sample originated from 3 unknown persons than if it originated from Tania Wise and 2 unknown persons. Therefore, the strength of the support for either proposition cannot be determined, as the likelihood ratio is uninformative. Now, the second set of proposition that I did, the DNA profile obtained from the extract is approximately 4.5 million times more probable if the sample originated from Tania Wise and 3 unknown persons than if it originated from 4 unknown persons. Therefore, there is extremely strong support that Tania Wise and 3 unknown persons contributed to this mixed DNA profile, rather than 4 unknown persons.
All right. And when we talk about levels of support in your DNA analysis for mixtures, what is the lowest level of support?
I don't recall.
You don't recall what the lowest?
The
What's
lowest one.
What's the highest level of support?
So I'll tell you the highest level of support is extremely strong, which is what we see in this case.
I don't have any other questions for this witness.
Thank you, Judge. So, DNA Labs International, right?
Correct.
That's where you worked?
Correct.
Okay. And I think I heard your testimony to be that extremely, well, I'm sorry, what was the level there that you said?
Extremely strong support.
Extremely strong support that the extract that you received and tested was Tania and 3 other unknown individuals?
Correct.
Okay, got it. And at DLI, you all are capable of testing DNA samples that are pretty old, right?
Correct.
Okay. In fact, I think you all tested a sample that was 22 years old from some gentleman's molar. Do you remember that case?
I don't recall.
Okay, you didn't work on that while you were there?
I've worked on thousands of cases.
Including cold cases, right?
Correct.
Where the DNA is very old.
Correct.
Okay. So you can get DNA from a very old sample?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
Any further questions from the state?
There you are.
May Mr. Hausman be released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Any objection to releasing Mr. Hausman?
No objection, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Hausman. You're released from your subpoena. You're free to stay or leave as you wish. Thank you.